Welcome to this episode of the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. I feature Olympians, CEOs, disruptors, authors, professional athletes, and the best of the best, where they share their stories of resilience with my lens on leadership and culture. Let's get started. Greetings and welcome to this episode of the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. You know I only bring you the best guests, and today is no exception. So 3 things you're going to learn from this episode. 1, why your corporate skill set may not give you all the skills you need to succeed as an entrepreneur. 2, 3 things that newly minted entrepreneurs should be thinking about. And 3, why entrepreneurship is really a spiritual journey. I'm so excited to bring to you my friend and my coach, Debra Boulanger. She has a decorated career in corporate, including a long stint at Gartner. She is the current CEO of Life After Corporate, and she helps smart and accomplished women and some men leaders take the leap from corporate to entrepreneurship. She's generated hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for her clients and balances just the right amount of kindness and tough love. Deb, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here.
Lyndsay, I am so honored to be on Heartbeat for Hire.
The honor is mine. You are going to teach everyone a lot of great stuff. So I start every show the same way. And so the first thing I always ask my guests is, can you share a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so my story was one growing up in a household where my dad was a CFO, and I wanted to be an achiever just like him. I wanted to achieve the same level of success that he did in corporate. I had a stay-at-home mom. I know I didn't want that path. And so after getting a degree in education and teaching for a few years, I decided to learn about business and got a job in IT consulting. And then I discovered Gartner and joined their sales force, created their first marketing department, did a 7-year hiatus, as some women do when they hit that glass ceiling first time around, and then came back as a vice president in product development and ended my career running a line of business for Gartner and growing it from 0 to 32 million in 30 months, hitting burnout, getting a divorce, and deciding it was my time to launch my own business.
Mm-hmm. And that is where we are now. So can you share a little bit about who you help and why you went down this path and really kind of what your clients are realizing in terms of success right now?
Yeah, so climbing the corporate ladder is not for everyone, or sometimes you get to the top of that top rung or the next rung down, and you just start looking around and saying, is this all there is? I've achieved this, I'm here, what's next? If you don't want to join the C-suite or you don't have designs to take over the top spot at that company, then what's left? And I decided I wanted to be in control. At that time, my life was complicated and I had a 12-year-old son. I wanted to be there through his middle school and high school years. And so I decided to make the leap. And because I had been in sales, marketing, product development, and had run that line of business, I thought I can start my own business. And then I went through the rude awakening that there was a lot more I had to learn in the entrepreneurial space.
So that was the perfect segue to that question. So because I went through the same exact thing. I was a super high achiever in my corporate life. I was running big sales organizations. I did many first of a kind things. So I said to myself, of course I can do this. Of course I can be an entrepreneur. Oh my gosh, what a rude awakening. There were so many things I needed to know. Give just your perspective on what some of those things are.
Yeah, so the first thing is really narrowing down, why are you here? What is your mission? What is your purpose? Um, a great way to get there is, what breaks your heart? What pisses you off? What is the wrong that you want to right in the world? And for me, it was giving women a choice of how they earn their wealth. Like, you can earn wealth being successful within the confines of the corporate entity, or you can earn your wealth on your terms, and you can have it all. You can be a mom, you can have a life, you can have great health, you can have less stress, and still earn great money as an entrepreneur. So the mission is number one. Number two is test before you invest, right? So one of the bigger mistakes I see women leaders make, and leaders in general, men as well, because I've coached men privately, even though my group programs are for women only. And that is making sure people want to buy what you're selling. So the temptation is, I have skills, I know what I'm doing, and the temptation is to get the brand together, get a
Yeah.
logo, build a website, hang the shingle, and then most people experience crickets.
Yep. Yeah, I've
And
I've
it's
been
like, "Well,
there,
wait a
done that.
minute. I'm
Yeah,
here. I'm
yeah,
here. I have this service. Why aren't people buying?"
yeah,
And so going through that testing phase, and the great part of my experience at Gartner was I was in product development, and we did market research. We
yep,
found that thing. What is that thing that people need that no one else is giving to them? And how could you package and price a high ticket offer? We're not
yeah,
talking about
yeah,
$500 service offerings here. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars that deliver a high return on investment.
yeah.
And so that's number two, is test before you invest.
I love those 2, and I think one of the most valuable things I learned in working with you the first time was, how AI is your friend. We had the
Mhm,
Laurens on the show, we
mhm,
talked about that, you brought the Laurens to me,
mhm,
and the market research that you taught us how to foster, was greatly expedited by the AI that we used,
mhm,
and I reduced what would have taken me hours, if not weeks, maybe months to do in a matter of like an hour and a half.
mhm.
We validated it, which was great. So I kind of missed that step when I started my business of doing the market research. And I think that's a really important point for people to remember. So I love that you brought that up. Will you talk a little bit about the reason that you do cohorts and the importance of community that you create? Because I think entrepreneurship can be so lonely,
Mhm.
and I think people are really afraid of making mistakes. So you have this just beautiful balance of tough love and, actual like, no, I got your back, you got this, and you know what to do. Talk a little bit about your style and why it works so well.
Yeah, I love rooms. I love community. And entrepreneurship is isolating, it's lonely. You wish you had the water cooler or the friend, the colleague in the office next door where you could just pop in and vent about what was happening and get some really great support and insight in a safe container. And so entrepreneurs need safe containers too, because it is a difficult journey. It kicks up all your stuff, and you've heard me say, wherever you go, there you are. So if you were a perfectionist in corporate, if you were a procrastinator, if you felt like you had imposter syndrome, all of those things just follow you wherever you go until we actually start dealing with them. And so it's hard. Entrepreneurship is not the easy road, it is the long road.
Yeah.
It is a commitment to a long journey. And you have to give yourself grace as well as a solid roadmap. And I think that's the balance that we provide in the Launch Lab, in the Reliable Revenue Mastermind, and in Impact Builders as well, is we have a solid roadmap that we're following that is just great business sense. There's nothing trendy about what we do. Yes, we bring in the most advanced tools and AI and things like that to make it faster and easier for you to analyze your market research and create great content. But we also know that you need to build a house on a solid foundation. You can't build a third floor without a solid second floor, first floor, and a really great foundation for that house. So we start from the ground up. And to do that requires a little bit of vulnerability. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not entirely confident, and there are tears that flow in those rooms. And having that safe space that is really full of love, full of encouragement.
Yeah.
And when people get together on our retreats, it's just the bonding that happens, the after hours, the pajama talk, and having someone that you can just pick up the phone and you can run something by them, or they're going to support your posts on LinkedIn, they're going to share with their friends. It's so important to have that community.
I couldn't agree more. And I think I didn't really understand that until probably the last year, where I just really kind of immersed myself in, okay, they're doing it better than I am. So I want to learn from them. I want to surround myself with people that lift me up and will call me on my crap because we can talk ourselves into things all the time. And a lot of the times we're talking ourselves into the wrong things. Um, so let's shift a little bit because you say this so well that entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey. What do you mean by that?
Entrepreneurship is a journey of personal development because it forces you to grow beyond your past limitations. And if you think about it, most of us are in midlife, right? My youngest clients are in their 30s. Most of my clients are in their 40s or 50s.
Mm.
And you don't have any past experience to draw on as an entrepreneur. And a lot of our confidence in the corporate world comes from our competence in knowing what we're doing, having been there, done that, have the t-shirt and the arrows in the back to prove it. And
Mhm.
we've learned. So entrepreneurship is brand new. And when you don't have any past experience to draw on, it's scary. And so then you'll focus on the wrong things and make fake progress, right? So let me focus on the trappings of having a business, but not do the hard things around visibility or talking to strangers or connecting with people on LinkedIn that you don't know. And if you can't have conversations with strangers, then you're going to have a really hard time selling your services. Now, you didn't have that problem because you were in sales, but most people don't come from sales. And if you
Yeah.
came from HR or marketing, or you're an operational leader, then your tendency might be to be more of an introvert.
Yeah. I
And you
think
have to get out there and be seen and heard.
I think you're spot on, and there's so much newness that comes with being an entrepreneur. There were so many first time things that I've endured and discovered and tried and failed at, and that newness can be really exhilarating and really terrifying. And putting yourself out there is so important. And you always say you have to be visible to be discoverable.
Mhm,
You do that very, very well.
mhm.
But I love that you put that into all of our minds. And I think some of the stuff that I was, I already was pretty good at LinkedIn and the branding side, but so many of the people in the cohort, that's the place that they struggle the most. They
Mhm.
might be much better than I am at their tech stack or their foundational things, and it's so nice to be able to help each other in that regard. But I think you're such a great example of, you're putting out content, you're doing video, you're on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and you make yourself accessible. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you do? You have the three programs that you mentioned, but you use a pricing calculator. Can you talk a little bit about that and some of your masterminds that you do?
Yeah, so the pricing calculator, and it's a great segue. I was going to get into the other thing, which is self-worth,
Yes.
right?
Oh, go there.
So there's imposter syndrome, like I don't know what I'm doing, and it's not imposter syndrome. So I'd love to just obliterate that right off the bat. You're not an imposter, you've just never done it before, and it's all new. So lean into the fear because you have to feel the fear and do it anyway, like they say.
Mhm.
The next thing is when it comes to pricing and packaging your services, because at least women specifically have been working under this cultural conditioning of lowered expectations, right? So we know in the corporate world that we have a wage gap of 79, 80 cents to the dollar. In the entrepreneurial space, it's 30 cents to the dollar. And that's because we let our self-worth get all caught up in our pricing. And so no one is buying your self-worth, full stop. No one's buying an hour of your time. No one is you're not pricing your services based on what you believe people can afford. You're pricing your services based on the value of the transformation you deliver. And once you start taking the focus away from yourself and you flip the lens to focus on them, and the value that you bring and what that brings to that organization or that individual, then you're more empowered to price your services in a different way. So yes, we have a pricing calculator that is our most popular tool. People love using it because you can model out your revenue goal. And if you don't have a revenue goal, you need a revenue goal
Mhm.
because you don't get there if you don't have a target. It's
That's
hard
right.
to reach a goal without a target. So you have your target, but how are you going to get there? And how do you model out different pricing scenarios and understand what does that mean in terms of your behavior and your activity on the other side? Because if your revenue goal is such that it's going to take 50 clients in a year to reach it, then it's unrealistic for you to right out of the gate be able to close 50 clients in your first year of business. So you want to have a realistic goal so you can understand how many conversations do I need to have with prospects to close this amount of business. And so I'd love to give that to your listeners, and we can share that somewhere.
Yeah, let's put that in the show notes. And guys, I've used this pricing calculator. It's really easy. But the best part is you put in whatever that offering is, whatever the price is, and the way that the calculator works, you back into those numbers. So it says, okay, if you want to make $100,000, this is how many conversations you need to have, and this is your close rate. So it just spells it out in a way that you say, okay, well, if I have to have 6 conversations a week, how much outreach is that? And you can really figure it out in a simple way. I think when people look at these big numbers, they're like, I have no idea how I'm getting there. This tells you exactly how.
How you're getting there.
It's really, really cool. So
Yeah.
thank you for making that available to the audience. Guys, take advantage of it. And if for whatever reason you can't get to it from the link in the show notes, just reach out to Deb directly. She's going to give her contact info in a little bit. Or you can reach out to me and I'll connect you with Deb. But thank you for that. That's great. So Deb, what inspires you?
Women inspire me, women who are brave and who move forward. So most recently, Jamie Kern Lima, we've been reading the book Worthy, just her journey is so inspiring. Louise Hay is always a role model for me because I came to entrepreneurship later in life, and being able to see someone who built a publishing house in her 80s is just such a inspiring story. And so, and lately I'm really super inspired by the guy entrepreneurs, by Gary Vee, by
Yeah.
Taki Moore, by Russell Brunson. They are fearless in their approach to creating product, being visible, getting out there and selling it. And sometimes when I feel hesitant and I'm holding back, because I still go through all of those mindset traps as well, I get inspired by both men and women who are out there really pushing the boundaries. Of course, everyone says Oprah. Yes,
Yeah.
I love Oprah too. Hers is a really fantastic story. But even everyday entrepreneurs. One of my clients in Europe texted me this morning. She said, I just left my job. And I was like, yes, let's go. Let's buckle up. And so she inspires me just by her faith in herself and her willingness to take the risk and bet on yourself.
I love that. What would you like your legacy to be?
That I moved the needle on closing the wage gap with women entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Thank you. So what's next for Deb?
What's next is building the team, creating an exit strategy. I can't do this forever, so bringing in other accomplished leaders to be able to lead. It might be licensing our content or white labeling our launch lab in some way to enable other organizations to benefit from this basic training.
Mhm.
And yeah, enjoying life on the East End of Long Island.
Yes. Yes. It's a beautiful place to be. Deb, how do people find you?
LinkedIn is the best place. I believe I'm the only Deb Boulanger. So if you just abbreviate it, don't go Debra. There's many Debras, but only one Deb. So Deb Boulanger, drop me a direct message. Tell me you heard me on the Heartbeat for Hire podcast.
Yes.
And you get extra special love for me when you say that.
I send you my favorites, and actually you have quite a little fan club from my friends. So they do really enjoy your content and your value, as do I.
And the Life After Corporate podcast. I almost forgot to
Yes,
mention
let's talk about that.
if you're thinking about making the leap from corporate to entrepreneurship, that's where you get straight advice, strategies, tools, resources on what that journey is like to make the leap from corporate to entrepreneurship.
And what's your website?
Website is being redone, but the latest one will be lifeaftercorporate.com. So look for lifeaftercorporate.com. There's lots of resources there. The podcast will be there. So many great things. I'm excited for the big reveal in August of this year.
Excellent. Well, I am so grateful that you came on the show, and I've had so much value and learnings from you. You've been so important to me and to my success. So I thank you for that. And thank you for sharing your story. Guys, you know I bring you the best, and Deb is no exception. If you want to work with me, if you want to work with Deb, reach out to us, please. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel, go out to Spotify, leave a review. They're so meaningful. It helps me to continue the show and get better guests all the way down the road through the end of the year, which, oh my gosh, you should see what we've got coming up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, Deb. Have a great day, everyone, and lead with heart. Are you ready to elevate your leadership style and create an exceptional workplace that stands out from the crowd? I'm here to introduce you to a game-changing resource that will transform the way you lead and shape your company culture. It's time to embrace the power of top-down culture. This practical guide empowers your leadership for lasting success, helping you create a workplace where everyone thrives. Get top-down culture today, and let's reshape the future of leadership together. Thanks for listening to this episode of Heartbeat for Hire. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or consider leaving a 5-star review and a great rating at Spotify or Apple. Thank you so much for your support. Have a great day.